Yeah, it came out today.
Oh, it came out today. Oh,
Yeah.
then no, I definitely didn't. I didn't see the calendar invite today. I haven't been on the email today, really.
All
You
right.
should have got an original one and the reminder should have came out today.
Mm.
Yeah, Mayor, I'll wait till 6. We have no
I'm
problem.
watching the clock.
Yes, sir.
Let me get my too many tabs open.
All righty. It's 6 o'clock. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Town Council Workshop, June 23rd, 2026. It is 6 p.m. I call this meeting to order. Uh, The discussion tonight is the special presentation of the Town of Windermere's Budget Analysis Report for fiscal year 25-26, and Robert Smith to present. Robert?
Yeah, thank you, sir. Can everybody hear me?
Yes,
Yep.
Yep.
we can.
Okay, good.
Yes.
Just checking. Yeah, I mean, we do this every year, 6 months in. This year it's been a little late, based on everything that's going on. As you can see in the revenues and expenditures, we should be good at about, I think it was 1.6 million, but that's with the $2 million loan that we took out. Everything considered, this doesn't take into account what we're currently facing with the property tax reform. Most of the revenues and expenditures are dealing with the HMGP grants that we're waiting on reimbursement from. So everything you see in reimbursements and or revenue and expenditures is very, very conservative. We're still waiting on about $1.4 million from the state in order to reimburse us for the HMGP grants. Um, but I'm more than happy to go through each and every line item with you um, for revenues and expenditures and answer any questions that you may have.
How would everybody like to proceed? Summary or a full-blown presentation on this?
Hey, Robert, if you could just, stop at a couple seconds on each slide and then do an overview, that'd be great.
Yeah, that's
Yes,
what
sir.
I was thinking. Just an overview would be good. Thank you.
Sorry, I've been talking all day, so I'm kind of losing my voice. Yeah, so the 3.7425 mils, that has been constant. And again, with the annexation of Shonda we're able to realize some additional property values and additional ad valorem tax. So that was a little up. But again, with everything that I think you guys can experience when you go into the grocery store, everything costs more. It's not the same as it was a year ago when we're trying to work at this crystal ball, or 3 years ago or 7 years ago when a lot of these projects were starting to take form. But we do our best to try to make sure that we're trying to project as much as possible, but also be conservative as well. Um, code enforcement actions, it's up 1,000, but that's not really a big drop in the bucket. With Parks and Rec Committee, their revenues overcome their expenditures. With the front, and a big thing that we're looking at with the property tax reform, the only thing that'll be impacted would be the top line item, the $4.36 million. With the 250 that we're looking at, or the 150 next year and the 250 in 2028, I believe will be good standing in 2 years to continue to function. My fear is not knowing what the schedule looks like over the next 8 years. They haven't released that. Um, it's it's represented in the ballot language, but I have not seen the schedule yet. Um, Once that is released, then we can adjust the numbers. But I know the fear is that um, municipalities are going to raise their millage rates high. in order to compensate for what's going to happen in the future. The only assessment, not ad valorem rate right now, that we may have to increase would be fire protection services, but I don't think that it would happen until 27, 28. The reason for that is that we have about $1 million that we bring in for that, and we have a restricted reserve for the balance that we've received over the last 5 years. And we can compensate for that for the 27, 28 budget year.
Okay.
Can we ask questions since we're on this page, Robert?
Oh yeah, go
Okay,
ahead.
I just have two. And this is probably just a learning curve for me. So if you go back on the page, the property taxes. So obviously everybody's property taxes due March 31st. So why are we still waiting? The actual is not what it should be.
Tax certificates.
Got it. Okay. The next question is Parks and Rec. Isn't that an anomaly for them to raise $100,000? Because those were the Centennial benches, correct?
A portion of that, and also with the Run Among the
5K?
Lakes. They
Oh, Run
receive
Among the
probably
Lakes.
about $85,000 each year for the Run Among the Lakes. And that gets more and more popular each and every year.
Yeah, they've been earning more from that run, CT, for the past
No,
few
I
years.
understand, but it was a large chunk this year, or where you're getting it from, is the Centennial benches. Can we break that out so we just don't include it in next year's budget? Because
Yeah,
they
I
can
can,
never
I can
raise
break it
those
out,
dollars
but
again.
I would say the majority of that comes from, I would say 80,000, if not more, comes from Run Among the Lakes.
Huh.
Yeah,
They
Okay.
sold
yeah.
quite a few benches. Okay, no
Yeah,
worries.
they're typically pulling in about 80, 85.
Okay. Historical Preservation Board, where did they get what is their actual, what did they do? Did they host a,
That's one thing I want to talk to you guys about. They received their revenues from food truck nights.
okay, I didn't realize that.
Yes, that's been breaking even for a couple of events. Um, but because of the environment we're in right now, my recommendation would be to hold off on future food truck nights, including the Light Up Windermere, until we know exactly what's going to happen in November.
Okay. Those were, on that page, those were my only two questions.
Yes, ma'am. I see you, Tony. And I
Yeah,
just
Robert, I just had a quick question. I can't remember what the legislation said as far as the referendum, but are we going to be forced to go to the rollback rate? And if so, what would that be?
That's the confusing point about the legislation. I know there's a lot of lawsuits right now based on the wording and the intent of the legislation. If we were looking at it, we would probably go back to 2025 or 2024 rollback rate, which would take us back to about 3.9, $3.8 million for the ad valorem.
Okay.
But remember, it has no impact on utility tax, half-cent sales tax, so on and so forth.
Yep.
A lot
Okay.
of municipalities are looking at, again, increasing their millage rate and also assessments and the impact to commercial and multifamily properties. But I don't believe that at this point we need to explore that option.
Okay. So if I remember correctly from the last budget cycle, the rollback rate was in the 3.3 range. Is that
I think
correct?
but for the annexation of Shondellock.
Okay.
Yeah, that's about $600,000 added to that, which the rollback rate doesn't include. That just says, hey, listen, this is your rollback rate from the last year, less 3%, and that did not include the annexation of Shondellock.
Okay. Thank you.
Got it.
Yes, sir. Any other questions on the first slide?
I just have one question. So, I mean, and I know we talked about this earlier about holding off on food truck nights or whatever, but so then are you saying you're not going to have anything in the budget for historic board next year? If we're holding off on all the rest of the incoming revenue, I mean, because they have repairs that they're, hoping to make for Cal Palmer and the schoolhouse. So are we saying that if you hold off on food truck night, we're not going to budget any money for them?
We can talk about that during budget session, but at this point, I don't know I can project what I think the budget will look like next year. But there's needs versus wants. And I think the function of the town has to take precedent over repairs to the 1887, I hate to say it, 1887 schoolhouse and the Cal Palmer building, until we know what's going to happen and how we can find that lost revenue.
Robert, I can
Well-
also, hey,
I apologize for saying that, but I mean, we haven't met since this happened in Tallahassee.
yeah. Hey, Brandy, just on a secondary note, their original budget before we started pulling food truck was about $5,000 was what was budgeted every year. Am I correct, Robert?
I went back and looked at 2018 when Downtown Business Committee was still taking that money and they were getting more back then.
Yeah, you should be getting at or more than what they anticipated in revenues, but again, with expenditures, it's pretty much balancing out.
Yeah, but some of those expenditures are the costs of movies and, the things we weren't having sponsorships for. They're not spent, all expenditures historic board has spent money on.
Yeah, but I mean, again, this is my opinion. If the first thing that we need to look at would be events, for trying to scale back costs, um, you know, unfortunately, we're in the environment that we're in, and I would probably recommend that we scale back on the events that are either cost neutral or almost not cost neutral, or we spend a lot of money on. The next one would be Light Up Windermere. My recommendation would be to not move forward with Light Up Windermere this fiscal year or next fiscal year, because of the cost.
Understood.
And I see a hand from Tony and CT.
So, Robert, I just had a question. So, you mentioned the renovation of Cal Palmer, the schoolhouse, and everything else. I thought we decided last year that that's going to go in the PW budget for infrastructure maintenance.
That's the
For
exact
last year
same
or this
question
year?
I was going to ask, Tony. I think it ought to roll over to Public Works and it ought to be either accruals as far as
Yeah, because
restoration.
quite honestly, Robert, part of the long range planning group that I just talked to is developing a capital improvement program that includes all of the facilities and built infrastructure for the town and prioritizing that through that group. So, I think it needs to be carried forward in that PW line, so we can do a entire capital improvement program that's prioritized.
I wish I could
They're
tell
the
you
better
that
ones to lead that program anyway.
I wish I can tell you we would have a CIP over the next 5 years, but I can't.
Okay.
Well, but that's what I've tasked. That's what I've tasked the long range planning board to start working with me to develop. So I'll work with Tanya to get that CIP put in.
Yeah, I know when you look at the public works budget, and same thing with PD, we bought 2 cars for PD and we bought a tractor for PW without the anticipation of what's going to happen over the next 18 months. The one thing that we're required to do is pay for essential services, and maintaining historical buildings is not one of those. Same thing
Well,
with
but the
Parks and
built
Recreation.
infrastructure should be taken care of in a priority order based on the revenues we get. If we get a certain amount, you draw the line at that level. If it's 75% of that amount, you take care of 75% of your priorities. That's part of the discussion that LRP needs to be having, to provide you guidance going forward. Quite honestly, to provide counsel and you guidance going forward.
I mean, it's a blessing and a curse right now that we're having 5 projects ongoing at the same time. I say it's a curse because we're trying to float money, but it's a blessing that we're getting those projects done at this time before the property tax reform that will more than likely be passed in November.
Yeah, I'm just, going forward with the assumption that, you know, we're going to need to have a plan in place as far as execution, independent of the funding we get. It may take long, the variable then becomes the time that to completion. But I think we need to have a prioritized program, especially now going forward because of the uncertainty in the budget lines, the revenue lines.
Yes, and we'll work on that.
Okay.
Okay.
And
Yeah,
my point being is the historical preservation board line, the 30K, however we move forward with it, I think to be realistic that, of course they get a budget just like the rest of them, but for educational, for events or things like that. But I still want to see the maintenance line roll over to Public Works since they would be the ones guiding those projects. So the Historical Preservation Board doesn't worry about they have to raise the funds to manage those buildings.
understood.
Okay.
What I don't think I'm getting across is this is like your personal budget. Just because something is budgeted doesn't mean it's going to happen this fiscal year or
Right.
next fiscal year.
Understand.
Just because it says you have money for it, we don't. Especially with the amount of projects that we have ongoing right now. And I'm sorry I'm losing my voice, but I've been talking all day. So we're trying to be as conservative as possible to get us through this fiscal year, which I think will be fine. We're waiting on the HMGP monies from the state. We've been expecting about 1.3 to 1.5 million coming in from them, which would assist us with this budget fiscal year. But again, we will be very cautious for next fiscal year, depending upon what happens with the property tax reform. So we have to really look at what the needs and wants are when it comes to Parks and Recreation, HPB, LRP, because
Totally understand.
based on the language that is going to be on the ballot, you're probably looking at just basically PD, fire department, and then some admin.
Brandy, do you still have your hand up?
Yeah, I mean, so when are we going to be going over what you're proposing for next year's budget? That's September
No, that starts in
or
July.
August? July. Okay.
Yeah, we have our first budget workshop end of July, and then our second workshop middle of August, and then we have our two hearings in September.
Is
Yeah.
the workshops going to be the normally scheduled July workshop time frame?
No, we have to set that. We have to piggyback off of what Orange County is doing, OCPS, and South Florida Water Management District, and so on.
Okay. Will that be Zoom?
What's that?
Is that Zoom on Zoom?
It's got to be in person because the
Yeah.
first one you actually have to set the millage rate, and the second one is approve the proposed budget, and then same thing with the hearings.
So do you have any kind of date in mind yet for that one?
We'll work on
Okay.
it. Yeah, a lot of things changed since June 3rd.
Yeah. All right.
Any other questions on this page?
No, doesn't look like it.
All right. Basically, I mean, as you see here, those are all ancillary taxes, which we've been seeing an increase in, except for revenue sharing. That is always dependent upon the state. But when you look at franchise for Duke, like Apopka, Orlando Utilities Commission, I think a big representation of that was the 500 block. So any future development would increase that, or any future hookups would increase that as well. The same thing with the half-cent sales tax. We typically see an increase in that, and I do think that's a revenue source that, depending upon what happens in November, the state's gonna lock into. but I'm not sure how it's going to be divided up, if that makes sense. Many questions on this?
Nope. Forward.
Yeah, we lowballed the rent depending upon the rental of town hall, because that's still in flux right now with, figuring out when we're going to be able to do the renovations. We did lowball that, so we are going to be expecting more money in revenue for that. Miscellaneous, we did receive funds. I think that was for a trade-in of the tractor, and some insurance claims. So that's why that's over $60,000.
Nice.
It's good, but
I know,
it's hard to budget miscellaneous.
of course. Well,
This is the big thing that's hard to budget for because we're looking at reimbursements for a lot of the projects that we have ongoing right now. With West Second Avenue, we are expecting, right now we have $530,000 that we've received, and we're looking at before October 1st to receive $1.8 million. With the HMGP, with Butler Drainage Program, which is the same as Bessie, we're looking to receive, I'm hoping a lot more than that. When you look at the expenditures, we're looking at 1.2 and receiving probably about $800,000. The state appropriations for multimodal, that is the word trail phase one. We've been working with DRMP, FDOT, and we've been receiving that faster than the other grants that we have, because it just goes through FDOT. And when they have DRMP, which is pretty much their lab certified engineers and assessors, it goes through a lot quicker, so they don't have to go through all the red tape that we have to do with the HMGP grants. The potable water system, I'm projecting that as low, but I do assume that we're going to be receiving that money in. We use some of the ARPA funds to help pay off that, and some of the appropriations for potable water is going to be coming out of the West Second Avenue project. It was hard to divert those because they were under the Cathcart. It was really the same contractor, so it made it difficult. But we're going to be able to use all the ARPA funds and then utilize whatever we have left over from the state appropriations from the central water phase to pay that off. The 645, 500 for state appropriation for north water phase and the south water phase. Again, we held that off until pretty much October, but we had to spend some money to make sure that the project was still ongoing. So what we anticipate in revenues, we're not going to spend until next fiscal year. And that's all reimbursable, but again, we have to float those funds.
Okay.
hey, Robert, on the second Ave reimbursement, so in the beginning, we got enough grants and we actually were, I think, under budget from what I understand from Frank and John, that they were going to have enough left over to run city water down Palm. Has that been suspended?
Until we have the final billing from West Second Avenue and Cathcart, I can't give you an exact number.
Got it. No, that's fine. I just more, it's stalled right now though, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
Yeah, I can't spend money that I don't have.
of course.
And we have to justify it with the central phase, ARPA, and then the West Second Avenue HMGP. And understand too is that that cost went from like 3 million to 5.3.
Got it. No worries. I just knew that was out there. People got notices, so I didn't know if anybody had brought it up again.
Yeah, no, we'll have it covered this
Okay.
fiscal. Any other questions? On this slide, sorry.
Doesn't look like it.
No, you only have 39 more pages to go. Keep going, Robert.
It's not like I work hard on this. I mean, with building permits, that's an 80-20 split, so I wouldn't really put any weight into that. The FEMA stat or the state grant, 90,000. We had the biggest thing right now. I know it looks like a revenue source, but that's a loan, is the $2 million. And I think we
Right.
all understand that what we did in December was
Yep.
and you can see it in the expenditures versus revenue report, that if we did not take that $2 million loan, we would be in the red. So,
Nope, good decision.
I mean, it looks like a revenue, but I had to put it in there, but that's not to, throw anything off, to show that we're on the positive by 150. But that was a revenue source that we did receive, that we pay $5,700 a month for.
Noted.
Any other questions? All right. So this will be the last year for Sunset Bay and Marina Bay MSBU. Yeah, Sunset Bay was for the roadway, and then Marina Bay was for the stormwater. That was a 10-year MSBU, municipal service benefit unit, to where we front the money for 10 years, charge them a 10% fee on top of that in order for us to do the projects that their HOA was responsible for. But this is the last year that we're going to see that revenue source. Again, I already explained the north and south potable water phases, Ward Trail Phase 1. Again, working closely with DRMP and FDOT. With HMGP, it's been a nightmare. We've been, again, waiting for that 1.3, 1.5 for 6 months. But that's why I've been very conservative with our estimates of revenue and the expenditures as well. So the expenditures are not conservative, really. We're looking at actual costs, but the revenues are very conservative to make sure we show you exactly where we're going to be at the end of the fiscal year, which would be September 30th, which again brings in the $2 million. And again, we brought in the $2 million loan. Any questions on revenues? So take a sip of water. Not seeing anything. All right, expenditures, legislative. Everything is pretty much on point. The only anomaly was miscellaneous and other current. And the reason for that is because we participated in the Bike Central Florida, which is the offset of Healthy West Orange, to where we buy in for $5,000 and we can apply for a $100,000 grant for the Ward Trail. And again, the
Well
lobbyist
worth the
contract-
dollars.
What's that?
Well worth the dollars.
Yes, if we can get them to stop studying stuff and give us the money, that'd be great.
Yeah.
That was a side note. They just approved another study. I'm like, oh my gosh. And then the lobbyist contract, which we've seen a lot of benefit from, that did increase. So you're going to see a little increase in that. And then the holiday social, we're receiving sponsorships, and that's something we can talk about later on. Not tonight. Any questions on legislative? I do apologize. I had 2 interviews today and been on the phone all day, so my voice is kind of coming in and out.
Feeling good.
Yeah, admin, the biggest thing is going to be litigation. We're looking at about 118 right now for the additional lawsuit that I hate to say lawsuit, but friendly action that we submitted to understand who owns what. And that would be the quiet title deck action. So that would be the biggest hit. And communication services, again, increase in the amount of users and licenses that we have. Clerk is fine unless you have any questions. I can skip through this. I know it's a long presentation and I'm running out of voice, but
I just wanted to make a comment, what you said on the other slide, friendly litigation, friendly depending on who you get a text message from. Just saying.
yeah,
Ditto.
I mean, I say friendly. Any lawsuit is adversarial. Um,
Actually, it was a
so
phone call. Sorry, not a text message. It comes up as a text for me, but
no, and I totally understand. I mean, getting sued is when people say you're getting sued, you take it as a negative. Um, but I think this action is separate from what they believe it is. This is to get an answer, and that will help the town for settlement, which I think we probably should have done a better job in communicating that with the people that are being served with the litigation.
yeah,
So
because
I
some of them
understand.
are not part of the original litigation. I think that probably threw them off.
Yeah, and I understand that. And that wasn't the intent. Our intent was to do a press release to let everybody know exactly what's going on. But yes, we are bringing in 3 additional parties. Um, again, it's adversarial from the very beginning when they understand, okay, it's a litigation. Um, but I believe the intent is to be friendly for litigation to figure out, okay, who owns what, so we can get closer to a settlement. And I can't get any further than that. I don't want to get into settlement negotiations or anything like that.
I just want to ask, do you know when that press release might happen so that we can direct people to be read that so they can be in the loop?
I have a meeting tomorrow at 3:30.
Okay.
So on finance, again, we try to get our crystal ball and figure out general insurance. Um, again, we were very conservative, so it's great that we're under. But as you see with the other departments, we were pretty much on point with all the other, like health, retirement, salaries, so on and so forth. So this is a blessing that we're actually under, because that does include workers' comp, and other insurance things that we have to deal with, including the 420 for executive travel. And you see here, the only reason that finance is over is because of the loan that we took out for the $2 million. The Florida government fee was 13,000, and then it's cost us about 43,000 in order to pay that loan each and every month, that we have that revolving line of credit. We did receive, or we did pay more for solid waste for garbage. That'll be recouped next year because that was the annexation of Shonda Lock. So we lost 3 months on that. Any other questions on finance?
It doesn't look like it.
Is everybody still awake?
Yep.
Development services, that's always hard to budget for. I mean, we had the 500 block and we have other developments that are occurring in town, and we have interests outside of town. But you can see the biggest hit was the 100,000 for our building inspection services. But remember, that's an 80-20 split. And you can see what the building, or professional services, planning and zoning admin, we're probably about 25 over on that. And that's all the questions, that's all the concerns, that's all the additional work Brad Cornelius and Wade Trim has to do for the planning and zoning. And it would be a lot cheaper that we use weight trim than hiring a full-time staff for both of those services. And we're not looking at our year report until I think 2027, and we still have to look at our charter review committee in 2027.
Our what report?
Evaluation appraisal report.
Okay.
They call it year, so there's too many acronyms.
Okay.
But charter review is definitely due next year.
Yeah, I brought that up. I've been talking to Dorothy, getting the details on what we need to do. And was gonna get that out at the next council meeting.
Public Works. Again, we budgeted for what we thought was the expenditures. Again, with the revenues over expenditures, we're going to see more spending over what we receive in, and that's because of the lack or the delay in receiving those funds. But all in all, it's nothing that I'm really surprised over. The estimate as far as what was budgeted versus what is estimated, we're down about 1.328. And that's because a lot of the projects that we have ongoing have been delayed so long, like Windermere Road Roundabout. We are going to have to hold some monies for some of the projects. One of which is in the 100,000 that we have for sidewalks. We have to hold back that money. I think we spent about 35,000 right now on that. But there's areas that we need to start saving money on that are not, again, needs, but wants. And I think that's going to happen in the next budget cycle as well, until we figure out what's going to happen in November and then see what the schedule is from the state.
Robert, can you go back to page 30 for me? I just had two quick questions. Okay, so wait a minute. No. Public Works, 30. General engineering. That's not the same page as mine.
Yeah, my page 30 is professional services at the top. Professional services and general
Yeah,
engineering.
I'm looking at this now and I see gas is way off, which is
How
crazy.
funny. So, well, that's not what I was asking. So on the page that I'm looking at, it's GES, and they're over quite a bit. Why is that?
Is that for professional services?
Yeah, under professional services. So if you go whatever page you have
That's
on
for
that one.
all the additional IPOs that council approves.
Got it. Okay, that answers it. Lakefront
Yeah, I
maintenance.
mean, there are certain projects that we don't anticipate for the next fiscal year, but things come up.
Got it. Okay.
And that's where it comes out of.
All right, when we vote to say yes, go for it or whatever. Now, the other thing is lakefront maintenance. Is that Fernwood? What other lakefront maintenance do we do? Is that down Fernwood?
That's
Lake
all the
Street?
lakefronts that we have responsibility for.
Okay.
Bessie, Butler,
So it's all of them. Okay.
Fernwood. Yeah, we have to make sure that we treat it and we also improve the plantings.
Totally get that. Town hall decorations. Was that because of the centennial that there's quite a bit over, which makes sense?
No,
Oh,
that was something I would not recommend the town council move forward with
oh,
next fiscal year. That was for all the lighting in downtown proper.
We spent 35,000 last
oh,
year.
okay. So it was for lighting. Actually, I
Yes.
thought the
Yeah.
lighting was beautiful, but
It
okay.
was.
Yeah,
It was
but
just expensive.
It was, but people loved it. And the
Mhm.
cheaper version made us look silly. So
Yeah.
I don't know. It'll have to be a discussion, I know, because we're going to be cutting budgets, but having it professionally done is the right way to go. And maybe we have to just get more bids. I don't know. But okay, I wasn't sure what that was. I know Centennial dumped a lot of dollars for the past year, so I didn't want that accruing over to the next.
And Robert, the general engineering services, is that all KHA or does that include like us paying John Fitzgibbons and Frank and them too for stuff?
yeah, that's KHA. That is Frank, John, and then also Michael Orr for West Second Avenue.
Okay.
Got it. Sorry. Thanks.
As it relates to the lighting, we're getting into the season to where I'm going to have to start paying deposits for the lighting of the,
Light up Windermere.
Mm-hmm.
yes, ma'am. And then my recommendation would be to hold off on that. We can't make decisions tonight. But if there was a cut, that would be one of the things that I would look at cutting. I got crickets on that, so I guess everybody agrees with me.
Um,
I don't think there's a lot of,
I
we
think
just
everybody's
know
still
where the money's
processing.
coming from. You know, I mean, it is what it is. I don't think
You all
it's
know how the Grinch feels.
yeah. I mean,
I'm the Grinch. I'm the one who voted no for the Christmas lights.
I
Well,
know. You know, as much as I want to keep doing it, it's going to be what it's going to be. So there's a lot of these items that we either got to figure out if the town wants them, how do you pay for it? How do you get sponsors for some of these events, I guess. You know, we're all into unknown territory, and Robert's right, till November, everything is in flux.
yeah,
So,
yeah. My problem is cutting an essential service for something that is not an essential service.
yes, sir.
Cutting, you know, something that Public Works needs, PD needs, or FD needs, just to have a light up Windermere. Same thing with the food trucks. So we're trying to be as conscious as possible to make sure that we're still providing the level of service and the quality of service that the residents enjoy and they love. But they are going to feel a hit with the anticipation of what's going to happen in November. Any questions on that? Okay.
CT, did you get your question on line 30 answered?
I did. Thank you.
Okay, just making sure. We went down the light rabbit hole. All right.
I know I skipped through this pretty quickly, but we're looking at, again, the difference can look like we saved 1.3, but that's not the case. With the delays and project costs and the projects themselves, we're still spending the money and we're not receiving the money as we thought. So again, when you look at the final line item, when it comes to revenues versus expenditures, what we do conservatively is to anticipate what we're going to be overall the costs, which will be less than the 2 million that we took out for a loan. So I'm not trying to give you rainbows and butterflies today.
Okay.
Police is pretty much on point. We did buy 2 cars outright, which again, hindsight 2020, I would not have done. But we did it, so that'll help us out on future debt services. We're going to save money on the 20,000 for the radios. Every 5 years, it seems like the state's going to mandate that you have to have a certain frequency and a certain type of radio. We've been very good at utilizing Orange County's OPDs, Winter Garden PDs, their radios. We have not had any issues. So if it's state mandate, we would make sure that there is some revenue source, either through a JAG grant or through the police officers fund, through tickets and stuff like that. But yeah, that's an area we can save about $20,000. But we did buy 2 police vehicles at the full cost. And that was before we anticipated any issues coming up with property tax reform and whatnot. So that's about $113,000 that we can save for next fiscal year.
All right.
So in summary, again, you guys don't see the how the sausage is made. But when I first started here in 2011, I started trending everything to see, okay, well, communication service tax is going up 3% this year. The next year might be 2%. Next year it's like 10%. A lot of people just use these trends and they do the CPI. I don't agree with that. You need to look at what's happening in town and what's happening with the environment. So we've been very good at looking at revenues and expenditures every single month. What the electric bill is in September is not going to be the electric bill in July. So we look at every penny, every dollar, and make sure that whatever we're spending is justified. And again, I've said in the past, I would welcome Doge to take a look at our revenues and expenditures, and they would say we're doing it right. We're still waiting for the reimbursements. I think that's been a big issue from November of last year to December last year when we took out the $2 million loan. It says 1.7. I think it's probably about 1.3, 1.5 million. And the issue is the HMGP grants, but not the FDOT grants. It's very hard working with multi-jurisdictional agencies on trying to get reimbursements for money that they're holding on to. But again, without these projects and the costs, they would cost us 4 times or 75% more than we're actually spending on them. And I think the residents are starting to realize when they see the Ward Trail, Bessie, Butler, West Second Avenue, the benefits of what we've worked on for the last 7 to 10 years. And they're seeing, hopefully but when the rainy season comes, they'll see that this was totally justified and cost us 0.25% of what it actually would have cost us. $2 million, that'll absorb the impact of the 5 ongoing projects. We have put on, or I have put on several projects on hold, which is the 76,000 for sidewalks, 22,000 for Parks and Rec improvements. And there's several others as well that I believe we can absorb until we recoup whenever we get paid back for the HMGP. But again, I'd rather be conservative than cut services that people are accustomed to. So with the current projects, I have us at $1.885 million. That is with the $2 million loan. So we would be in the red by 1.25 or 1.25 million, or sorry, 125,000.
There you go. There you
There
go.
we go.
Sorry.
We're getting there. We're gonna
I'm
get
talking a
there.
lot and
It's
it's been a
simple
long
math.
day.
I know.
On that note,
Um,
yes, everybody, I think seeing the modal pathway come to fruition and the bridge installed, I mean, people are feeling proud of all of the projects that are going through. My only question is, can our new lobbyists help you with maybe moving forward with these reimbursements on a little bit quicker path?
No,
Okay.
no. Lobbyists work with legislators. They don't work with the people that are actually signing the checks.
Okay.
So it's a matter of just, calling them, bugging them. The person that we did deal with, Rashida, she went on maternity leave. So we have a brand new person, which, it's great for Rashida, but it delays stuff because the new person has to understand everything that's going on, and then through all the recs that she has to deal with, it just created another backlog, and the government shutdown didn't help at all.
Yeah.
Robert, could you send me a list of all the projects that you're putting on hold in addition to the sidewalks and Parks and Rec improvements so that I have that?
Yeah, I'll send it to the entire town council.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, my biggest one is going to be the sidewalks. It's not really food trucks this fiscal year. That'll happen next fiscal year. But yeah, I'll send it out to you.
Okay, thank you.
CT, you still have your hand up. Is there anything you want to add still?
No, sorry, I'm lowering it now. Thanks.
No worries. Just wanted to make sure.
Yep. Nope, I'm good.
Robert, are you good with your presentation? I don't want to take off and just start.
No, that's completely up to you guys. I'm sorry, I'm losing my voice. Been talking all day.
No worries.
But if you have any questions, concerns, I'm more than happy to answer those at this time. And I think Teresa is on here as well. So I do want to thank Teresa and Tara and Dorothy for all their hard work on giving me the numbers. If you see my office right now, it's packed with different departments, different numbers, revenues, expenditures, but we went through every line item to make sure that we had everything documented, and it was pretty much at or what we believe is going to be at the end of the fiscal year, whether it's bad or good.
All righty. Thank you, Teresa and Tara and Dorothy. We appreciate everybody's hard work. No more questions, correct?
I have my hand up.
I'm
Sorry.
sorry. I'm
It's
so
okay.
sorry.
I keep dropping. Our AT&T's been finicky today for some odd reason. Robert, I just have a question for Parks and Recs. So the CIP, is that for this fiscal year or next fiscal year?
This fiscal year.
Okay. I did give Dina a heads up, but I didn't tell her which year because I wasn't sure. So,
Yeah,
I told her we could talk about it.
again, this is something that
It's
we
unforeseen.
projected or
It's okay.
anticipated.
Exactly.
It's a state mandate. You know, as a local government, again, we're the first, I hate to say line of defense and the first ones to get stones thrown out. But that's what we have to realize.
No, and I did explain that to her, due to the property tax forum and all of that we are having to watch and cut things. So um she was good about it, but I did want to give her a heads up. I didn't want her to be shocked. So
Well, thank you for taking that.
you're welcome.
Yeah,
I'll take
blindfold's
the
great
brunt.
for me.
I'll take a brunt for you if I can.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
All righty. Any other questions? All right. Before we wrap this up, I did have a request to bring up in an open conversation something that was sent out last week. Rise Up, the America 25th 250 in motion. It was brought up about 2 weeks ago to see if we had appetite for it. And this is a spot we could discuss it. Anybody have any opinions or want to start with this?
Yeah, I apologize. This was something that came up when I was out of town. But it's planned for, I think, September 17th. Is that correct, Mayor?
Yes, it's Constitution Day, September 17th. Be an evening event, so like 7 to 9 p.m.
This is that one we got from that Austin guy, right?
Yeah, from Austin Arthur and the forget what the marketing company that put it together.
I kept that flyer somewhere. Anyway, here are my 3 points. One, I think it's a political statement in disguise. The second thing is, if we are cutting back on our own events, we're still going to have to use resources for this event. I also wanted to ask the question, I think he pitched it to other townships or municipalities and they turned him down. So I just don't think it's in, I don't think it's in our best interest.
So here's a little bit of insight. So I asked the mayor to bring this up because the board of the Sea Cadets, of which I'm on, reached out to me, and it's a fundraiser for them as well. As far as political, I don't know CT. You know, at its
Austin's
face,
gonna run for the commission seat.
well,
But that's,
so what? So I mean, if he wants to celebrate, the 250th birthday of this nation, why should we stop him just because he wants to seek office? That'd be like
He's
me
not a
asking,
resident. He's not a resident here.
but he's supporting um entities that we support, aka the Sea Cadets. So, I wanted Andy to bring up the discussion because it was sent out via email and kind of was kiboshed pretty quickly without discussion. So I felt we needed to have the discussion amongst ourselves.
Can somebody remind me of the details on it? And somebody has their hand up. I didn't see who. I just went to full screen, but
It's me, but I can wait.
no, I mean, I was just trying to remember that I read it a week or two ago, but I don't remember all the details now. So I was trying to find it, but trying to not have my computer make noises at you guys because I have too many tabs open. But
and just for clarification, this is a discussion item. It's nothing that you're going to vote on tonight.
right.
Correct.
Correct. And I guess my the budget thing, I think it's fantastic as a fundraiser for the Sea Cadets. I think it's a fantastic thing to show our patriotism in our town. I just think if we are cutting budgets, it's going to cost us something. We're going to have to rent bathrooms or porta potties, or there's going to be some expense to us with public works and all of that. I just think if we're cutting our own town events, I just think hosting it for somebody else is just not wise. It's not that I'm against it. I think it's a fantastic idea. I really do. I just think it's just bad timing.
I mean, do we know if are they going to pay for the bathrooms? Are they going to pay for our police that have to do it? Are they going to pay for, even our public works to set up and tear down? Or are they going to have their own people?
As,
I mean, I'm not holistically against it. I mean, I saw the email. I mean, I'm in all kinds of societies going back to the revolution. Like I'm in the DAR and stuff. So to me, Constitution Day, I think is a good thing. And I like that it's a fundraiser. But I feel like some of those things would need to be answered before we could maybe make a decision if we don't know if all those things will be covered. Because I don't think it should cost the town anything really out of pocket other than hosting it. And I mean, that still comes with its own form of chaos sometimes, but
I
so
also wanted a more detailed scope of the event. Their first pitch was very uh, minimal at the best.
So how about I propose this, and we don't have to vote on it. How about I reach out to the organizers, including the Sea Cadets and all the parties involved, and get some more details and bring it back to council?
I think that sounds great.
I think that's a good idea. Thank you.
That's
Thank you,
good.
Tony.
Yeah.
All righty. With that being done, anybody else have anything else for the good of the order? Everybody's good?
I think so.
All right, then I call this workshop closed at 6:58 p.m. See everybody